So I want to talk a little bit about this book, Mental Toughness for Young Athletes by Paul Hardy. I work with young kids as an educator. I also have 7 of my own kids, a couple that are in comp soccer and comp swimming. Anyway, so a couple things that I like. I mean, obviously the book is organized by chapters and subheadings and some of the things. I don't want to go through the whole book, obviously, but I wanted to talk about some of my favorite things. So one of the things that I really, really like is that it comes with a downloadable weekly productivity planner. And so that's part of a whole section about setting and keeping goals and holding yourself accountable as a young athlete and kind of building that mental toughness. And for those of you that work with youth in sports or athletics or have kids that are in those, you understand how important this is. So, it's littered with quotes from famous athletes, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, Tom Brady, some of those others. But one of the things that I really, really like, right, and I'll just kind of go through some of my highlights that I've got is the idea of this family culture when you're on a team is that you protect and you honor your team or your team members. And when you have a team culture, they become your family because you spend so much time with them. And it also talks about avoiding corrosive cultures, right? Where you get maybe negative players on your team or a negative coach or different people like that. And so when you talk about different cultures in sports, it kind of breaks these down, right? The competitive culture, the country club culture, the constructive culture, comfortable, cutthroat, those kind of things. So one of my other favorite parts was talking about setting and achieving goals. And, just going to read this quote here that I marked. Without goal setting, an athlete has an idea of what they want to achieve, but doesn't have a necessary strategy to help them execute their goals. Goal setting is what bridges the gap between mind and matter. And I really liked that. So as I mentioned earlier, there is a couple of downloads that you can get. There's a QR code. Obviously, I'm not going to show you here. But the last one that I really, really like, this is towards the end, is rewiring your brain on how to handle mentally tough things, how to work through them with adults and other players and that neuroplasticity. And a lot of times that comes in losing, right? Those of you that work with competitive athletes, there's a moment in time where they are not the best and they're getting beat, but as they kind of make that gap, as their mind shift changes from, oh, we're never going to win, we're never going to beat these guys, to, oh, I can beat these guys, we can beat these guys, we're going to beat these guys, we beat these guys. And then you realize, right, there's another team always a little bit better than you are. And so you kind of continue through that path. And then the last piece is there's references obviously in the end, but is talking about balance and why balance is so important, and talking about balancing your faith and school and work and your body and sleep and balancing all those things, and when it's time to focus on certain things and maybe realign that balance or put that out of whack, right? Obviously during the off season when you don't have school, that's when you would be working out and maybe not playing necessarily competitive. But when you don't have school, you don't focus as much on your academics. You can focus more on working out. And then during the off season, put that a little bit back into athletics and family and faith and all these things. So it talks a lot about that. Anyway, highly recommend this. It's a pretty quick read. It's only 130 pages, 120 pages. Then with the PDF downloads that you can download, you can actually keep that chart. And I really, really enjoyed it. We're actually going to give a copy to one of our boys to help with us. So.